It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean fresh
Hello everyone, I
air.
hope you're all having a wonderful day today, and for the ones who aren't, I just hope that Company Heroes can make your day a little bit brighter. Now, I'm not actually doing a replay today, this is just a little background, maybe something for you guys to watch while I'm going to be talking. I've got two things on my mind that I want to talk about, and the first thing being that there's going to be another competition coming up this summer. So I've been sort of elaborating a bit on, you know, a possibility of a summer tournament, something just to always spice things up and make it interesting for you guys. And this summer tournament is going to be open for everyone. And by being open for everyone, I mean that, hold on, just turn this volume down. By being open for everyone, I mean that it is going to be open to all skill levels. So you, your brother, experts, beginners, you could all join. It is open to you guys. Now, I've actually started a little thread on the main Company Heroes website, so it's not on game replays. I'll have the link down below so you guys can check it out. But it's basically a pre-planning phase of what the tournament should be. And so, because I'm sort of having a bit of trouble deciding what exactly it should be, like there's multiple sort of things to consider, like what kind of brackets, should the non-experts and the experts be separated, should they be together? I just like to hear your guys' opinions. I mean, this is going to be absolutely for you guys. I want you guys to enjoy it how you like it. But saying that, the link will be below, and so if you could check it out, I would very much so appreciate it. But the second thing I want to talk about today is just a post recap of the competition, the replay competition, and how we graded this, how we graded the replays and how we decided what to choose for. Now, we actually got a lot of submissions, and by we I mean me, Greatness, and Ryan. We got loads and loads and loads. Varying skill levels, so a lot to consider and a lot to rate. Now, overall, these replays, me, Ryan, and Greatness, pretty much were in unison. We had pretty much the same ratings, and we rated it from 1 to 10. And so, now, there's quite a few things I want to take into account, and this is in no order whatsoever, but I'm going to start off with the first in general sort of stuff. And I actually wrote these down along the way when I was going through the replays, just so that I would remember for this occasion right now. And so starting off with number 1, I've got 8 points here. Starting with number 1, there's no usage of mines. That was one common thing that I saw in some different replays. No usage of mines. I mean, guys, like, mines are very cheap. They're 25 ammunition. Now, I can understand some factions not using them. For example, the Brits and the PE. They do have access to them, but then again, they're not easily as accessible as the Americans and Wehrmacht mines. 25 ammunition, likewise you can also get them for Greyhounds, and they do help a lot. Now, I think I might be sort of understand why you wouldn't use them, because they're sort of out of the way and, you know, it takes a bit of planning to do. But trust me guys, when you put them down on choke points and you need to defend a place, it helps so much, and that definitely boosts up ratings. Definitely is a good sign of a pro replay. Now, when we're talking about point number 2, being stubborn and constantly pushing one side, I think that pretty much speaks for itself. A lot of times people, they would get pushed back to their base, or, you know, just on one front, and they just kept on fighting on that front, like not even bothering to go on to another side of the map, and constantly harassing the opponent. Now, that is a very important thing to consider. Always harass your opponent. Whenever you're being pushed back and you're put in an awkward situation and you can't push on one side, you gotta think about other possibilities of going elsewhere, not constantly pushing on that defensive line, or else that's gonna just make you lose the game. It's not gonna get you anywhere. When we're talking about point number 3, I'm going to be talking about blobbing. So, another common thing in especially newbie replays, blobbing. So that is just massing up your guys into one sort of, you know, big massive blob. And that is not the way to go. This really comes down to micro, and I know macro is very important in this game, but micro is just as important, if not more important. You need to separate out your guys. You need to come in from flanking directions. Just sending your mass blob is just asking for trouble. You're just asking to land on a mine. You're asking to be artillery shelled, so on and so forth. It's also a very sure sign of expert replays whenever you see flanking squads coming from different directions. Now, on to point number 4. Let's see what this is. Fighting a losing battle. If you know you can't win it, retreat right away. So again, that speaks for itself. If you're fighting a losing battle, so say if you're outgunned, say if you one Volksgrenadier squad versus, I don't know, 5 riflemen, and you think, okay, maybe I could take some casualties on their side and get away with it. No, you can't. Unfortunately, you will be outgunned by 5 rifleman squads, and if you know you can't win it, just get the heck on out of there. Sometimes it might be, it's something that you learn from experience as well. You might not know when to retreat, but you just play the game a bit, and eventually you'll get a hang of when you should retreat. Usually a common sort of thing is if you're outnumbered by 2-to-1 squads, that's a good sign that you might need to get out of there. But then again, that is not set in stone. That can be open to interpretation. So on to point number 5, not enough capping power. So this is going to be basically you're not capping the points on the map. You become so distracted by all the action that is going on across the battlefield that you sort of start forgetting that, what am I actually fighting for? I'm fighting for the resource points. And then you sort of start forgetting about all the other resource points across the map. So that's another sort of thing when it comes down to micromanaging your forces on the battlefield and also managing your resources. So I always like to see that micro, always like to see that sort of stuff going about. Definitely brings up the score. On to points number 6. Now, this is sort of a pet peeve rather than something that, I don't know, maybe would have marked it down. It's more of a pet peeve. But some people thought that units are OP, and I wrote this down as units are not OP. Now, I know that there are some things in this game that might come across as imbalanced, stuff that should be changed, and so on and so forth. And yeah, we all recognize that. But overall, for example, people might think that the Axis tanks are overpowered. But then again, it's not really that case. It's usually just the case that you've allowed your opponent to get that far and get those tanks, and so they have a major advantage over you. Likewise, you also need to have the right combinations to counter those tanks, because if you're put in an awkward position and you can't counter them, then obviously you're going to start thinking they're OP. But then again, that is my argument. They're not OP. It just all comes down to being able to fight it correctly. On to point number 7, retreat button doesn't exist. Oh jeez, and this is a very common thing. So all these points are basically coming down to micro, boiling just down to micro. Retreat button doesn't exist. So whenever you're about to lose a squad, you don't retreat it, you just keep it there. And these guys, they want to live, they don't want to die, they've got a family at home, so let them have that chance to retreat back to their home base. I like to see that, and it's just a sure sign that your micro is up to speed. So trying to retreat before you can actually lose your men, that is a very important thing to take note of. Number 8, repairing units take more damage. This comes down to knowing your general game sort of knowledge. Whenever your units are repairing a base building, emplacements, tanks, so your engineers for example, they take more damage from enemy fire. So for example, you might have noticed that whenever your guys are repairing, they might die very, very quickly. And you should take notice of that. Don't keep your guys up in the open. If your tank is facing towards some guys, always keep your engineers at the back of the tank, away from the incoming fire, so that they can repair that tank without taking damage. Because that's not very nice. You don't like being damaged. I know that you don't want to lose your guys. Now, I know that was 8 points. I've also got 3 more just to finish this off. Now those little notes there were just in general. Now when we're talking about the specifics about Americans Wehrmacht team games, Americans, one complaint I had was that they do not respond correctly to Axis late game armor. So throwing constant infantry at tanks won't win you the game. I mean, for example, if you keep on throwing engineers and riflemen, thinking that you might win, take out some lucky tanks, unfortunately that won't happen. You definitely need more than that. You need your own tanks, you need AT guns, you need mines, you need Oh, just a whole bunch of different stuff. So you can't rely solely on your riflemen to try and take them out. You need different combinations of stuff. And let's see, for the Wehrmacht, overextension of medic bunkers. That also applies to everyone. So the Americans as well. Whenever you put down your medic bunkers or medic emplacements, medic tents, and so on and so forth, do not put it on the front line. I mean, this is another pet peeve of mine because you do not have to put them on so close. I know that there's a common complaint or a common idea that, you know, maybe your medics, if they're far away, they won't be able to pick up, you know, guys. But last time I checked, the medics were able from about a 70-meter distance to pick up guys from that far away. So as long as you got sight on those wounded men, those medics will go for them. I can see some reasoning behind the medic stations on the front of the front line just so that you get to those casualties quicker. But then again, this can also be such a risky thing. If you lose defenses around that medic bunker, you lose that medic bunker, and that can be quite a setback for you. So just make sure to keep it a bit back, a bit hidden, you know, away, so it doesn't attract that much attention, yet still picks up guys. And for my one and last final point, team games, not fighting as a team, separate sides. So if you guys noticed, I only casted 1v1s this time around, and that wasn't just because I prefer 1v1s and I love them or something like that. Indeed, I love team games, but it was just the fact that a lot of times people weren't exactly working as a team. They might have been going their separate sides, and you know, if that works for you, then that works for you. But it comes also down to setting your targets, who should go for what, and just working together to try and take stuff out together. Or elsewise, you know, one of your allies might get pushed on one side, and then the other ally might not help him out, and you know, it becomes sort of separate play. And also, one more thing I want to mention about that: in team games, you need communication. You need to talk to the people that you're playing with, so that you guys can have the most successful game out there. So, those were about the 11 points or so that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure there are still more to go over, but those are just the ones I wrote down while I was going through the replays. And I personally went through every single replay, so I'm very thankful for all these submissions. And it was a very fun replay competition. I'm sure you guys enjoyed the casts. But apart from that, I think that's pretty much it, covering all the little rating systems. So going back onto topic number 1, if you guys please would go over to the Company of Heroes forum, just give your opinions on what you would like the COH competition to be. You know, even if it's not something that I suggested, if you come up with your own ideas, that would be totally fine. I'm all up for suggestions. So anyway, guys, I hope you're having a nice day. If you're not, I hope COH will make your day better. So see you guys later.